Je mets la serviette.
Guernsey-French is dying out. It's English now.
It was all in good French.
Yeah.
Je mis Dieu ne délaisse celui qui se confie en lui. So that's what we sang.
Yeah.
That's in good French.
Le bon français.
Yeah. When we go to our chapel, it's good French. No.
The young people don't want to know.
No.
My two girls, it's all English now.
Magnifique. Mets la cutie sur la table.
Mets les cuties sur la table.
Children from Guernsey French-speaking families, if they went, particularly if they went to the colleges, would conceal the fact that they spoke Guernsey French. The schoolmasters would try and make them use either standard French or English, depending on what the circumstances were, but certainly not to use Guernsey French in school. And this is probably why this reputation of being a sort of an inferior language came from. Guernsey was part of the Duchy of Normandy, and the islands were settled by people from that area. So therefore, if you think of it, it's just a piece of Normandy broken off, but the kinship was there, and obviously the language which people brought with them when they settled in the island, and the constant toing and froing between the islands and the mainland of Normandy meant that it was, for all intents and purposes, part of the same territory. And the very north of the peninsula, around the Val de Serre, for example, towards Cherbourg, the patois is very similar to Guernsey French. And if you hear Guernsey French and Jersey French, you hear significant differences. The Guernsey French spoken in the north of the island differs from that which is spoken in the west.
A travers mon boti qui fut trop durant toute la guerre. Son père m'a dit pour aller d'Ovli. Fut d'Ovli pour 13 ans.
How did he get killed?
Through a mine. His father tripped a wire and let over a mine, and he got killed. There was father and son and two uncles. So two of them, they were slightly injured, you know, but not bad. And the father had a few scratches and that. And then my mate was killed. Nous sortait pas peut-être tous les jours, parce que deux petits bottes, la mort était rude, et ne pouvait pas y aller. Après les Allemands, il est aidé nous l'autre, faut dire, alors il y a 9h30 au matin, et il était anxieux de voir qui roulait la barricade. Et nous leur disions que nous ne pouvions pas avec tous nos bons ordres, parce que dans les moraux, les bruits, les souillards, mais ils croyaient que nous pouvions y aller au château. Et j'étais là au détour de la patrouille. Ils disaient que je voulais, honnête, la patrouille, koi nang, koi botte. Et elle disait, mais tourne hier envers, mais je n'ai pas ça pour l'os, on y est. Elle disait, vous nous lâchez le bien trop tard. Et nous sommes obligés de rester là en ligne pour du mocret. Parce que les buis sont partis sous ya. Et il faut que nous arrêtions au ceux qui viennent au feu de chien pour voler bonheur. Mais nous ne pouvons pas les faire comprendre tout.
Well, I started knitting or learning to knit at the age of 5 with my mum. Then in my teens, my mother started knitting some Guernseys for a shop in town.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I thought, oh, she said, you know, I thought, oh, that would be nice. I'd like to do something like that. So we worked it out that my knitting and hers were identical. We're using different size needles. So she knitted the bodies and I knitted the sleeves. So during the war, we lived at St Saviour's, but the Germans took over our house and knocked all the greenhouses that my parents had built in 1939, the year before the war.
Your experience of the war is quite different to Olive.
No, I was evacuated.
Oh, okay.
We tried to go 3 times actually. We couldn't get on the boat. So my dad went to work and said, well, they won't go, they'll stay here. And when he came home at lunchtime, somehow or other they'd got to know we could go, and we'd gone.
Yes.
And we could only take a change of clothes with us, because we thought we were only going for about 3 weeks.
Oh, is that what they told you?
Yes. So it turned out to be 6 years. Mm.
So what was different between Guernsey and England at the time then?
At the time, well, everything really.
Yeah.
I mean, we were brought up to be very. We just lived on the beach and came across. I lived right opposite the beach. We'd go on the beach all day long, and you'd go to school, come home, go back on the beach. And in England, it was just trains and huge buses, and everything was different. Hello, Olive.
Olive, comme tu l'as fait avant?
Ah, c'est non, mon but.
Il fait pas justement ballonnière.
Non, fais pas but.
Fais pas de soleil. Non. Eh bien, comme tu as fait, tu es évacué, tu as dû dans la guerre.
Ouais.
Mais comme tu as pris avec ta Guernésiaise, tu visais au Guernésiaise tout le temps, et que tu as visé nos guerres, pas ton père et ta mère, pas d'offre, comme tu as sauté quand tu vas là.
Non. Mais veux-tu, grand, quand nous sommes pour Rogaterna, c'était comme une expérience, ça.
Ah, ben, c'est une expérience.
Parce que tu nous avais eu 10 ans. J'étais un amour tchèque pour faire. Sono allé sur la bataille.
Était la première fois que tu avais été à Rogaterna?
Ah, ouais, j'avais pas jamais été à Rogaterna devant. Quand nous venions là, j'étais une autre famille toute à faire. Mais j'étais pour 13 mois. Ils vont plus réussir, même ma soeur et mon frère. Parce que nous marchions nos jours.
Ils voulaient pas être séparés. Nous
étions petits.
C'est naturel.
Qui fait nous fut, j'allais trouver mon frère, parce qu'il avait eu 8 ans, vois-tu.
C'est un petit mot, ça, vraiment.
Ah, il était un bébé. Et chez Joychan, il était beau, mais il sortait aussi. Qui veut j'allais sur la demain.
Sur le chai.
J'allais lever tous les soirs. Elle me venait de chez avant quand il venait.
And so it's not unique to Guernsey, and particularly if you get a language, say like Welsh or Breton, which the government maybe doesn't particularly want to foster because it fosters sort of a separatism, really.
Well, I think a language is very important to the culture of Guernsey. I mean, you lose the language, you lose your culture. I mean, if everybody in England started speaking French, then the English culture would disappear and the French culture would tend to take over eventually. I mean, it would take many years, but it's already taken hold in Guernsey. There's a lot of English culture in Guernsey, but there's still a lot of French culture, so you need to keep that.
Do you think enough is being done to preserve the Guernsey's language?
Well, in the past, no. that hasn't happened. It's been, well, people have been saying it's been dying for a long, long time. But I hate to say that the language is dying. It isn't dying. It's not very well, but it's not dying.
Sinang, je suis tout en oublié. Sinang, les affaires, je pas toi, je suis tout en oublié. Tout en oublié. Ouais. Ah, une de vie, pas le français, tout. À la maison, je suis en oublié. But Howard came up with Gaston. Ouais. C'était tout au Guernésiaise, in Dvide Paulo tout. Non. Tout au Guernésiaise. Mais je les filles, tout en oublié. C'est tout en oublié. Ah, ben. Je suis là comme je suis au stade, oui. Les affaires, je suis. Ils disent pas. Oh, les affaires, ils disent pas le français. Je suis tout au stade. Notre patron, les autres. Qu'est-ce que moi, je suis la cour? Ça va pas un parodie. C'était tout au français. Le petit capitaine, il y avait une maîtresse, notre maîtresse, a advisé le français, et on parlait pas la main, elle est partout. Et un petit truc, j'ai pu chiloter. Et qu'est-ce que moi, je ne savais pas parler. Oh, no.
The experience must have been quite unique because with the threat of the German occupation of the island, it was decided that the school population would be evacuated to England. And so there was a separation from children and parents for 4 or 5 years. And it must have been very traumatic, and I can't think of anywhere else quite like this.
Cavur vade, cum cictit sote catit vade genesi?
Bebio cash vine, desce sinang, an namana mo difro.
Vestende difro, oh,
Ma mère, imer sobia che ma mère, sre acor com cash mo fu.
Ouais.
Cash vine, asobia ca teret petit, mi vie.
Et plus vieux, alte shanka.
That's right, mi nashtanisi pose pascitola.
Ouais. Questo cinema difro, catit vine de dogetera, genesi était différent pour la petite tour, parce que les shops, il n'y avait pas grand-chose dans les shops. Il y avait des shops qui étaient chiauses.
Ah, d'accord, viens, la villa.
Nous avons la fin de septembre, pour le mois octobre, c'est faisait bal. Après, nous torchons de trouver du travail au Chinois, à faire chica house. Il y avait un homme qui était au chef de l'Oithouse. Et bien, son job, c'était ramader les murs là-bas, les slips. Parce qu'il était endommagé dans la mer, l'hiver. Et après, eh bien, nous commençons à se préparer. L'homme que je l'ai dit, il faisait des bonheurs d'osier. Après, je faisais des coraux comme la taupe, dans des petits bouées de span et du voyeur netting. Et quand venait, faut dire, le mois de février et beaucoup, nous commençons à se parler le bâton. Le pointureau et tout, avec l'argent était bien. Après du commencement de mort. Après d'un gramme rose. Nous mettons le bâton avant. Parce que si nous voulons sur le porto et que nous avons un grand mort, et que la mort roulait, les bonheurs étaient perdus, les bûchis étaient perdus. Il fallait en faire de neuf de ce chien. C'est là comme l'affaire faisait tout ça.
We spend lots of money on preserving Castle Cornet and the Martello Towers and all the various monuments around the place because they're part of the heritage, they're part of Guernsey's history. But the language is an even more of an integral part of Guernsey's history because it's older than Castle Cornet and it's more fundamentally because it's language is not just a means of communication, it's a vehicle of thought, because Guernsey people are, I think, more and more finding a crisis of identity because of more and more English people moving in, and the English people and international influence is seen in the presence of the banks and the international insurance companies and so on. And there's a certain anxiety amongst Guernsey people because they feel different, but they don't know how to express this. But this is the first time we've tried with very young children to see what effect this will have and how much they retain. I mean, I would think that certain things which they're learning now will remain with them, and even if it's a very limited amount, it's still a piece of their heritage.
Okay, who's next? Okay, you can have the imaginary fourchette, and you have to say, je mets la fourchette sur la table. Je mets la fourchette sur la table. A bit louder, come on, I can't hear you.
La fourchette sur la table.
Everybody say it, everybody say it. Okay, je mets la fourchette sur la table.
You know it really, don't you? It's just a question of
Touché. Serviette, okay?
Well, if it loses its language, it will lose its culture. It'll just become a satellite of England, just like any little offshore island that they have, like the Isle of Wight, which is, you know, I think eventually it would lose its government, it would lose its independence. That's my belief anyway, because it's being unique that keeps us where we are. And I think once you start losing any part of your uniqueness, then you just become one of the rest, and that would be very sad.
El rapperino sciopera, e sai da monero, el rapperino